Greetings, greetings, everyone. You have reached From Seed to Systems podcast with me, Cicely, from New African Image Makers. And today we are being joined by no other than my oldest son, Kimaathi Yeboah, and he is giving us some inside intel on young folks and social media and media, AI, and all of that in general. Um, I would love to have an intro if I have some backup on my tech in the background here. But if I don't, I'd like to just get right into it and introduce my son properly. I've already sent notices out, so if you catch my live in the description, you will see that my son has a background in computer technology, IT, robotics, coding, and just the general being a young person, social media, and all the other stuff, AI. So this is a person who helps, basically is one of my top advisors, and I'm not saying that for joke, I'm saying for real, and gives me some very interesting background and perspectives about how I'm navigating in the world and especially online in general. So this is perspectives that I know are very valuable for me, and I know that he's gonna be sharing some heat and some value for you guys as well. It's not often that we get a chance to get into the mind of a young person, so I'm super excited to have him with me today, and I'm very grateful. And for those of you who know our family, I'm always talking about I got skin in the game. Now you've been through this podcast introduced to that skin for real, and it's nothing that I take lightly. It's how you guys doing? How y'all doing? Did you enjoy your workout? Oh yeah. I saw you out here getting it. Yeah, oh, hour and some straight. Man, so yeah, we are outside here, the beautiful, sunny south side of Chicago. And yeah, this is the real skin in the game right here. So this is not something that I take for joke. My children, my family is very valuable to me and very encouraging to me. And I my son, as I affectionately call him, Kweku, is more or less a behind the scenes type of guy. So to get him out in front of this camera today is a feat, and I'm so excited and I'm so proud to have you. Thanks for joining me on my podcast.
You're welcome, and greetings to everybody.
Yes. And anyway, so
How
you can ask me live. Go ahead.
so how would people hear the conversation in the beginning?
So this is recorded live, meaning we're broadcasting live, but people can come back. They can go check it out on later on YouTube, Facebook, and the Female Solution page, which is my host group. So people can catch this anywhere. You can, and this particular it doesn't tell you the total of how many people are actually watching the broadcast. Because, for example, last week was my most watched broadcast, and I had almost 200 people watching, but they were on different platforms. So you can't just go by that. People are definitely watching. We've been consistent. And let me just say this about the Female Solution platform. I say it frequently, but I'm going to keep saying it. I love this platform. I love the way they've been able to help support me to be consistent in my media. And I'm going to be more consistent. It's going to continue to improve. The technology is going to continue to improve. Our reach is going to continue to grow. You know that if I just keep doing it, because my son is the one who encouraged me to do media like this really a long time ago, and take advantage of the vantage point that I have as a developer in media and a Pan-African, and that my particular perspective on things. He's always encouraged me to, be serious about my media and make sure I'm doing certain things to keep everything, popping in and make sure it's reaching out to people. So, but anyway, so yeah, um, what I want to talk about first, because I had to send him a detailed, you know, AI generated list of what we're gonna talk about. But anyway, but um, but for real, I've as a as somebody with a background in visual arts, I talk about this a lot. Every time the camera comes on, we're performing. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So now that everybody has a phone and a camera in their hand, how much of our life are we living and how much of it is a performance? And are you concerned about it? Or, like the direction that things are going?
Um, yeah, in terms of how much of our life is a performance, I would say that for those who are, you know, mostly online, their life is their livelihood, if you would, is based off performance, and those who also seek attention on the internet, I would say their livelihood would be performance, but that's not the majority. That's not the majority of people. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you see it as people actually have a choice. What about when we in public and people just be taking pictures of us, or cameras are everywhere and we know they're recording us? You don't think that affects people's behaviors just going around and just being in the general public?
No,
Not really.
I don't really think so. Being recorded because it's become normal surveillance and recording. So I don't really think it will really affect us as much as we think it does, or what you're saying. I don't
Mhm.
think so.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's interesting because, like, I always bring up the old days when we grew up. We didn't really have uh 24-hour surveillance. Our mothers couldn't put a tracker on us. Not only could they not track us with our phones, but they didn't even ask us. You know what I'm saying, where we was at, what we was doing, where, the infamous, that's the train. Oh, it's a long train. Oh my God. I would pick a spot by the train. Forget about this is Chicago. So all the trains in North America come through this city at some point and somewhere. So to be honest, if you're gonna be outside, we're gonna need some more specialized equipment because it's gonna be a train of some sort or some noise around. It's a loud city in general. But anyway, we had that whole it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are type thing growing up? So
Mhm.
um the idea of being watched and videotaped everywhere you go is it's a little foreign. It's foreign to us in a lot of ways.
Mhm. What you have
No, I just want to know, like what your opinion about it, what you think about it. Do you think it's hilarious or funny, or do you find it hard to imagine, a world where it's not cameras everywhere, and you know what I'm saying, like this whole surveillance thing, or how much ingrained into you is it?
Yeah, it's pretty well ingrained because we know cameras are everywhere. Um, yeah, to imagine a world where it wasn't a lot of cameras, that's pretty hard for me personally.
What about when you're in Ghana though? Like it's not a lot of cameras watching you everywhere there.
Oh yeah, in Ghana, I would say it's not the Stone Ages. They have cameras as well as social media, but yeah, it's pretty similar to me in terms of surveillance and cameras. Yeah, so I would find it hard to imagine a world where there wasn't cameras or there isn't cameras around or surveillance methods or to know where your kids are or where they're gonna be. I find it hard to believe that parents forgot where their kids were.
Forgot. They didn't forget. They never knew where they was at. I'm trying to tell y'all, y'all can't even understand it. It's so hilarious. Even when I think about it,
Um,
sometimes. Huh? What?
but yeah, some parents don't care. That's today too as well. Like, it's just I feel like it's the same thing, but it's less prevalent with all this technology. It's not hard to keep track of where your kids are
Yeah.
as much as it was in the 70s.
Yeah. Or I like the way you like to push my age back, but it's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and let you get away with that.
What do you mean? We're born in the
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, so now now let's get into some of my favorite topics. I want to talk about scrolling and doom scrolling and the effects of media on your psychology, your thinking, and everything. You know what I'm saying? I want you to get into it. Like, do you agree with me that your thoughts and your behaviors can be controlled by the media that you take in?
Yeah, I feel like that's true. We get a lot of influence from what we see on the internet. Yeah, I feel that's true.
So then what about the whole scrolling thing? Like where do you see the separation between what you actually into and what you want to do and what the internet is actually pushing?
Well, um, I feel like if you have your mindset and you have a goal, I feel like you can amplify what you want to get into by using TikTok and other apps because um the algorithm can push that towards you, but if you're kind of just going with the wind, yeah, the algorithm can take you to places you never thought you'd go, distract you, all sorts of things. But as far as you stay focused, I feel like you'll be okay.
So what about at school? Do you agree with phones should be allowed in school or they should not be allowed in school?
No, phones should definitely be allowed in school for security reasons. Not only that, um, our phones are an extension of basically us in a way because we use it for everything. It's also, like I said, it's not like a previous generation where you had a calculator, you have a dictionary. No, for us, most of our work has to do with the phone, and that's for a good reason.
You think so?
Yes.
But you see a lot of schools are starting to, like, you see your brother's school, they don't allow them to bring their phones into the classroom. They got to keep their phones in the locker all day.
Well, yeah, I don't agree with that.
You don't?
No, no.
So you being somebody that has had both in lack of access to your phone in the school and also access to your phone in the school, you don't see a difference with your performance or with your ability to learn or anything with.
For me, say that I um I absolutely rely on my phone for help, not just where the teachers lack it, but also to further my own personal studies, um to connect with other people who are having similar issues in terms of academics, to gain help from teachers across the whole internet. Even sometimes during class, when the teacher fails to completely help me understand the topic or less.
Wow. I don't know, just because I mean I'm still caught up in, like, as you know, I use the technology probably as much as, or maybe even more sometimes than you guys do. And one thing I notice is that I still get more out of myself when I pick up a pen and a pencil and I write on paper. I get more out of myself when I do it that way, and I remember things more, you know. I mean, you don't got no problems with your memory, okay? So, but for me, I do. And like, if I listen to like a video as opposed to reading it, which one you think I pick up more on?
For me personally, what's the question?
I'm just saying, when you use technology, um, into, okay, let's say for example, you trying to learn something new. You could listen to an audio book or summary online, right? Or you can even have Chat GPT summarize it for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I find that when I read the topic and my mind responds to what I'm reading more. Or when I write down what I'm learning, I remember it better. Like, hands down, it's a huge difference. Like, if I listen to an audio book, I have to listen to it 3 times in order to retain less of what I would retain if I read it, with my eyes on the paper. So, I mean, I'm just asking about your experience because I know you're a writer too. So,
Well, yeah, that's where I'll say we'll differ because me personally, when I hear something or when I'm I thought the screen was black.
no.
When I hear something, I find that I retain it get way better than when I read something.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm visual, you're audio, so that makes perfect sense. That's something to think about. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna start talking about, just all things AI. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned.
The Soulful Chicago Book Fair, Woodlawn's premier summer event, returns to 61st Street between Cottage Grove and King Drive, Saturday, August 9th, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Join us for another celebration of literary works by and about the Black experience, featuring children's books, fiction books, and nonfiction works by local and international authors. The main stage will host an entertainment lineup second to none, with Pari Linuel, Aniba and the Soul Stars, and the mesmerizing Moo Moo Fresh. Special guest, DJ Celeste. The community stage features a variety of family-friendly performances, such as DJ sets produced by IC Music, an organization that trains and promotes blind audio engineers. All this and more, Saturday, August 9th, free and open to all. Be there. Visit soulfulchicagobookfair.com for more information.
Hey, welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us and sticking with our favorite topic, tech and AI and all things internet and all of that. So we were just talking about learning styles and how that also impacts how well or not well you work with technology, which is an aspect. I'm glad you brought it up because that's something we don't really think about. If you're a visual person, if you learn better about and remember things that you look at, of course, reading a book is going to work out better for you than listening to an audio book.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an audio person, I remember once I was promoting a event and I'm handing out a flyer, and I put it in somebody's hand, and she bent her ear towards my face and said, "Just tell me." And I understood at that moment that I was working with an audio person. This is a person I got to call. I can't send her no text, you know what I'm saying, and expect her to remember it and all of that. So it is a huge difference. And you, if you know your learning style, your preferred learn, because we can learn in all the different ways, but if you know your preferred learning style, then that makes a huge difference. But that brings me to my next piece I want to talk about more. To be honest with you, when I started learning about how quickly AI was advancing over this last few years, I got nervous. I got real nervous because I was like, damn, I wanted my sons to go to college, but what the hell they gonna do with all these computers doing everything and taking over all the different work? And I mean, you got robots doing the surgeries now, and it's just so much going on. They driving the cars, like, so when you thinking about your kids and you trying to support them and planning for the future, it's kind of challenging. And so you know what I did?
Mhm.
I started talking to other young people, and engineers and scientists and different people, and asking them like, what's their projection, or what are the good careers that they think, are gonna be profitable or manageable or even relevant over the next, 5 to 10 years. I don't think we could even imagine what the next 10 years is gonna look like, none of us, but um that's one thing that I had to do to calm myself down, because I was just like, oh my God, we done got all the way to this point and now everything just went bust. You know what I'm saying? But what about you? How does knowing that the technology and AI is coming online more and more every day to do certain things that people have always done? How does that make you feel? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Um, it makes me feel excited for technology because for some jobs and some career paths, it might limit or maybe even end like the career paths in total. But for some, it just makes a whole new path and it creates more opportunity if you really research what you need to get into. Because, for example, I would say digital artists and drawers, you can say that AI has been creating images and taking them out of business, but you can also see some digital artists use AI. Some digital artists use AI in tandem with their work to create greater images than it would have created just with AI or just by themselves. So in some ways it could end careers, in some ways it could um amplify careers who have already started and provide a means by which they could improve or become better, more advanced.
Mm,
Yeah.
I definitely see that. So, recently we had a incident. Well, it wasn't an incident. It was a occurrence. It was a interaction with some really young guys. They was outside playing football. I know you know what I'm talking about. That's when you became the unk in that situation. So if you was talking to them, right, and we talk about 8, 9, 10 years old, what's your advice about like what they should be studying, what they should be putting their energy in if they was looking to develop themselves and really put themselves into a position over the next, 10, 20 years?
Sure. If I was talking to some 10, 11-year olds, I would tell them to pursue what they want to pursue, but also keep in mind that the world is changing more accelerated than previous generations. In this moment, it's changing faster than it was ever before. So whatever you do, make sure to incorporate knowledge that's continuously being brought forth by scientists and tech, I don't know, tech industries or whatever. So for example, I would say if you're thinking about going into being a doctor, yeah, go on that path of being a doctor, but also incorporate technology into that in a way. I don't know how to say, learn how to code, learn how coding can be used with being a doctor, learn how different methods of how surgeries can be done with different robots and whatnot. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much that's it's like when, to be honest, when I first started learning photography, it was pretty much still on film. I don't know if you know what that is. But literally while I was in college, the first Photoshop came out.
Hmm.
The first Photoshop came out. And once the Photoshop came out, everybody was like, photography is over. You're not gonna be able to do nothing in photography because the computer is taking it over. And then after that, a little bit after that, then we got the camera phones, right? And everybody said photography is dead. You can't do nothing with photography. But I actually was able to apply, kind of the science of what you're saying right now. I started learning the technology. I started learning Photoshop. Then not only that, I started working with the moving image. It's like when everything got digital, it just made it actually easier to bridge over from photography to film. You know what I'm saying? From photography to video. And so I just stacked that, I stacked more knowledge on top of it. So even though I'm a Gen X solid, okay, um, I've been through a change, enough of a change to kind of recognize a little bit about how that works. So on that end, is 2 points in which Gen X, I think, identifies with young people. And that one is with the fact that we are hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like we are the original hip hop, and we still listen to hip hop. So we're kind of like the only old people who listen to the same music as our kids. Like historically, that's not really, you know what I'm saying? We kind of do, but a lot of ways we don't. And then the other thing is, we came up at first, there was none of these technologies. And then we lived to see all of them. So we went from, you know what I'm saying? We were that transitional generation. So now, even sometimes you guys are telling me, Ma, too much, back up off the tech, get out of that AI, you know what I'm saying? And like, I can guarantee you, I never had to say that to my grandparents, okay? I remember I was trying to teach my grandma how to use headphones with a tape. That was like a big technology, and she just could not understand you could press rewind. You know what I'm saying? It was funny. But so yeah, like I really I think that's the best advice, and that's one of the reasons why I was hoping to have you on, just to talk about this topic, because it okay, I could say it, but it sounds a lot better, coming from you. So what's our next topic? We're talking about what about okay, this is a good question. I want to really topic I want to talk about, because I noticed that in Ghana, student-based learning is more communal generally than it is here.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Meaning like students work together and they learn together and they help each other. Like that's a staple of West African training, right? Then you come here and it's like your teacher gives you a test. You okay?
yeah.
And you're expected to just pull everything from your own mind and do everything on your own. How much of that is relevant with AI? Like, do we really gotta learn like that? Like, what the old system of we give you the information and then we test to see if you memorize everything. How relevant is that right now? Should you even be marked for cheating if you're using AI? Like, I want to know your opinion on that for real. As having observed, you know, a little bit of all these different
I don't
systems.
see the difference between the teaching, the learning styles, and I just feel that yeah, based on my personal experience, I would say that I don't see a difference between we help each other in school. If you reach out, you can get help if they're reasonable. You know, if you have reasonable classmates. But I will say that I feel like we should start incorporating AI because for me, well, you're not.
I know. Because you're talking and it was when he was born. So I did that on.
Yeah, okay. For me, I would say that AI will become an extension, just like our phones. It should become an extension of what we do and how we function, how
Wow.
we, you know, how we produce stuff. So if if moving forward, that would be a good idea.
So when we do testing and all of that type of stuff, I'm asking you, do you see AI as being something useful in terms of the whole school environment? Like instead of saying no phones at the test, bring your phone, use your phone, just like you would a pencil or a calculator.
Yes, I'll say that that would be greatly helpful. For some, I mean, you always have cheaters or whatever, but for others, it'll really help them. Like they can find new ways to um answer questions. And for me, I find it easier to retain whilst let's say, let me use an example. During a test, if they give me a question, I find it easier to retain knowledge from the question if it's open notes because I just practically use that knowledge that they just asked me on the test. But if it's a closed notebook test and they force me to cram all the knowledge in my head before the test, I can do that, which is hard, but I can do it. But then I find that I'll forget most of the content of the test because I was forcing myself to learn something that I didn't really need to use beyond the test that they give me.
So I see, I kind of understand that a little bit if I understand. So it's like in giving you access to all your tools during the test, it's almost like you put the knowledge to work and therefore you retain it better. You
Yeah.
think about it, you think about the approach to it, you think about the questions you got to ask to learn it. You look for where to find that information. Yeah. Well, you starting to cook, son. You starting to cook. Yeah, yeah. I see that. Because I mean, my thing is, but how would you know what you know if you're always leaning on a tool that's gonna tell you?
Well, to be honest, once you do it enough, you're gonna know. And I struggle to see a place where we won't use AI practically. If what are we learning a test for? Is to to test our mental and
Right.
how well we how well we compute things in our head and solve problems. But to be honest with you, I feel like we're always gonna have our phones. So if we learn how to solve problems with our phones efficiently, I see no problem where that is.
You know what? That brings me to an interesting thought because I say this all the time. They say it was a digital divide. Do you know what that is? A digital divide.
No.
That means that some people have access to the technology and then some people don't. So, with that being said, um, I've always been focused on, and getting grants and, teaching classes that try to address this so-called divide. But I started to get to a point where I'm just like, nah, everybody has access to at least some semblance of technology, but the question becomes, how are you using it? And so if we exclude technology from the classrooms, then when do our students learn how to use it? All they know how to do is play games and take in content. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what they teach themselves on their own. They're motivated to do that because of the dopamine and all that other stuff. So actually what you're saying right now makes perfect sense. That could be my next workshop, if I decide to go back into the schools. But yeah, using technology, but for your advantage. You know what I'm saying? Learning. And I guess that's basically what I have always taught. How to use, how to make your own video games, how to create your own content, how to make your own videos, how to use the technology to do something that's organic to what you, like you said, what you're interested in doing. So, but that's interesting that the schools would ban, technology when the students actually desperately need to learn how to use it. So anyway, you just made the wheels in my head start turning on that one. We talked about the cheating aspect of it. We late for our break though. Let's take another quick break and then we'll come back and finish up this particular section. Thank you guys for joining us. Let me find a nice commercial. This is my favorite one, I think. Why is it not coming on?
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
Thank you guys for coming back and joining me today is my son Kimaathi, and we've been exploring. We actually, as usual, Kwaku got my wheels turning in my head about the topic of AI training and learning, how it impacts us, how to make it better for us as individuals, and even advising the young folks as a new unk, the up and coming unk. So yeah, but super proud of Kwaku. I could talk about him for about a whole day without stopping. So we want to talk about a little bit about connectedness. This is where my mom thing comes in at, because I'm very concerned about what I consider being a real human. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure how AI fits in with keeping us connected or disconnected. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what do you think in terms of like when we go out? Sometimes you hear me say, "Oh, so are we doing that millennium yet?" Because like if we all gonna be on our devices, then like what are we doing? You know what I mean? So I want to hear your thoughts on two aspects of this: the connectivity part with our loved ones and our family and our friends, and I want to hear your ideas about surveillance, because I know you got some insight and some ideas about that. One of the reasons why you don't get in front of this camera that much, for sure, right?
No, I just uh say your question again.
It wasn't a question; it's a topic. I want to talk about human connectedness. Humans.
That's why.
You want to move? You want to move it over this thing?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Technical break or whatever we doing. Okay, so we talking about just real human connectedness. Like I personally feel like we spend too much time on our devices and not enough time with each other. And I'm not going to front like I'm not the ringleader of that, but I want to hear your opinion about it. I wanted you to talk about, what your observations are with it. And are these tools helping to bring us together or making us move further apart?
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. I'll say that we have to learn to manage our device usage. That's pretty much,
Critical.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
So what's your recommendations for a young guy? Like if you was advising the same group of kids, like what should they structure look like in terms of if you using it this much, you went too far. What's your too far?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but yeah, shouldn't use it all day. Uh, I pretty much people know this. You shouldn't use the phone all day or the computer all day. It has negative effects to your posture, to your to everything basically if you stay on the device all day. So, have a well balanced schedule. I'm not a doctor, but I would say work out, you know,
Fix a sandwich.
yeah, cook your own food if you can, or learn to practice uh maybe an instrument, find a hobby um other than devices, Pokemon cards. I don't know.
Since we talking about 10 and 11, I love that. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, you pretty much we on the same page with that. It's a struggle though, because you physically get hooked into it. You know what I'm saying? And especially those of us who, sometimes we get paid to sit on the computer all day. You know what I'm saying? So it's very challenging to balance that out, but we definitely gotta find ways to do it. But I would say if you going out to dinner with your family, that's a good time to put your device down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Certain things that we do, it's like, come on, And if you find yourself not able to do that, then you got to ask yourself a lot of personal questions.
Mhm.
Yeah. But what about the surveillance piece? Because this is it. Don't front on me. Just let's talk about it frankly, because you guys have cautioned me a lot dealing with surveillance. So you definitely got some thoughts on it and some ideas around it. And I just, about, everybody has a digital footprint, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think personally, like what's your standard, as a man, in terms of what should you put of yourself online and what should you hold? I mean, not being Mr. Beast where your whole life is online for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Just being a regular person.
Um, that all depends on how much you're comfortable with. But for me personally, I don't like to post that much about anything, to be honest.
What about me? The advice that you guys give me, what are some of the limits
Oh yeah,
that you recommend?
yeah. If you prefer to post online or have people see what you're getting into, that's fine. But for me personally, I don't like to do that. Just based on algorithms and technology they already have, there's already enough known about you on the internet. Adding more is just you're becoming a part of the problem of how they're controlling the media, how they're controlling you, what trends are controlling you. Um and you're losing your privacy. Yeah. So yeah,
I personally don't seem like we have privacy anymore. So I just err on the side of kind of do me and let it go, because
well,
I feel like it's all seen anyway.
that's not true. That's not true. But I feel like we do. But posting yourself profusely every aspect of your life,
Yeah,
or most aspect of your life, that's not helping.
yeah,
So we're going towards that anyway.
yeah. So with that issue being brought up, that brings us into my bonus round, where I wanna spend maybe about 5 or 10 minutes with us imagining if we was in charge of all the technological development, what are some of the things that we would do and how would it look and what effect would it have on us? You want to go first?
No.
Oh, well, because I'm feeling knock it out the park, out the gate. For number one, everything would not be blue light focused. Okay. I would change that yesterday if I could. Okay. Light ain't meant to come at you blue, 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 blue. It's too much blue and it's really having negative effects on our health. The number two thing, um, honestly, I taught digital media and all kinds of multimedia for years before I realized the students that I served and the places that I taught didn't even have access to high-speed internet, which means all of the technical problems that we encountered when we tried to use CAD, and we had an online radio, and we was making films. We had so many technical problems because we never had access to high-speed internet in the first place, and we didn't even know that internet is given out based on your zip code, and if you in certain zip codes, you don't have a chance. You go to certain cafes and you wonder, like, why every time I'm on the south side, the cafe's internet is whack. You know what I'm saying? But when you go to other certain places, their internet works perfectly fine no matter how many people are in there. Not knowing that the location is associated with various skin colors, and the internet is kind of delved out based on that. That's crazy to me. I would never have unrolled a system like that. Like, whose idea was that? So that's one thing I would change. And I heard that in some Northern European country, they actually slow the entire country's internet down to a crawl on Sunday, just to encourage people not to be on the internet all day on their day off and spend time doing other stuff and with their families. So I would create a system where not only my phone, but my house internet all would be kind of, I would make it a pattern. You know what I'm saying? Where you could only access high speed at certain times and then the rest would be slow as shit. So slow, you'll be like, just forget it. I'll put it down and come do something else because you know what I'm saying? And then you go do something else because you can't really get the high speed that you want. So I would definitely do those three things like out the gate. What about you? If you
Well,
was creating the landscape, how would it look?
for technology,
Yeah, and internet and AI, and if you was rolling it out, what would it look like?
well, there has to be more in person. I will make opportunities for people in person. I will amplify those or improve on those. So more sports, more places to be in person with.
Yeah,
Like um me personally, I would love to have a place where I can meet chefs and they can teach me how to cook. If I had like a place to go where they could, you know, it's not directly school or college or
it's
anything.
just kind of like a fun,
Yeah,
interactive, being around
yeah,
people who are into what you into.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, and I can learn how to do what I want to do. Yeah, I will improve on those. Um, for the actual technology thing, yeah, I would do what I wouldn't like to hinder people from using the internet, but I will also put in some certain rules like you can't you can't always be having fast internet. So like Ma said, I will cut down the internet for one day so that people can actually be in person, be in tune with what's going on. And shoot, or if they want to be alone, go for a walk or anything, they can do that. But to get off the internet, to not let it control your life, and I will make it I would advertise I would advertise nature a lot more in the media. I wouldn't make everything about technology in in regards to internet and gaming and all that because there's enough of that already. It kind of promotes itself because it's fun. So yeah, I would advertise nature, yeah, and stuff like that.
yeah, you on point as usual. I just am more concerned about the safety aspects. I think, you know, and not it's safety in so many different ways. For one, we have toddlers using iPads. I think that's dangerous. And it has become the norm, which actually increases the amount of signaling that we're all getting. Because if everybody in your house from the age of 6 months on is using devices, then that's more non-native EMFs that's going through the entire community. So just think about that. And then we put our elders on it, and then children's bodies are smaller. So whatever effect it's having on you, it's having like way more of an effect on their bodies. So I don't think, we should be encouraging a lot of screen time we shouldn't encourage any screen time for certain ages, for me. And I don't think also that there's been enough study on like when we create these huge data centers and then they, what about the environmental impact? You know what I'm saying? Because we use the technology, but it is energy intensive, right? So, like where's the studies on this stuff? If it's tens of thousands of satellites floating throughout space, where's the studies? How do we know that it's safe? So that's one thing that I would do. I would not do anything super fast, like the way we're going from, people having jobs to certain, industries where a huge number of people just lost their jobs almost instantly because of technology. I wouldn't put my doctors online like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the doctors, as you know, when you go to the doctor's office, they spend more time looking at the screen than they do looking at you. You know what I'm saying? That's not cool. So I definitely don't think that it's as safe as people assume. No one studied it, so no one can say that it's safe. You know what I'm saying? So if I was unrolling this, I wouldn't speed into it like that. I would check everything, measure people, track everything, and make sure that it's okay that we're doing this. And if it's not okay, come up with a different way to do it. Because I'm sure there's a better way of doing basically everything. I don't know. I mean, I'm just taking a guess on that one. But for me, yeah, I'm just concerned about the safety. So I know uh it's challenging because we're using the stuff, but we also saying, take it easy, you know what I'm saying? And don't do too much. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate you, my good son, for joining me today. It's been very delightful. The whole conversation and insightful. And I know our audience definitely got a lot from you, from everything that you shared. Um, so I think we pretty much on point with our time. And if it's any other thing you like to add, I love to hear it.
No,
Nothing?
no.
You gonna leave me to close out the show by myself? Don't do
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. That's basically
that. Yeah, thank you guys so much. We are I'm just delighted to be, on this platform. I'm delighted to have my son here with me today. I value his opinion and I value him as a person. He is the one of the most recent and best technologies that I've produced. And so of course, super proud of that. And I would say, you on the right track. You know what I'm saying? Definitely on the right track. Recently I overheard a private conversation with you and your brother. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I had to unleash something on you on camera. But what I would like to say is somebody approached our my younger son with some contraband, aka alcohol beverage. And I heard my son's advice that he gave his younger brother. I didn't have to say one word. He said, yeah. And the next time somebody approaches you like that, look them in their face and say, no, thank you. And that's it. That's all. I heard what you told him. I could not have gave him better advice. And that advice coming from you actually is more better than me giving it to him because he won't forget it. And
what was this?
yeah, hey, it wasn't on camera though. It was in my eyes. I saw it and I heard it with my ears. Yeah. Yeah, it was recently. It was recently. We was at the park. I don't know if you remember, like at a noise event. You asked them all the questions. When they said that, what did you do? And he told you, and he said, yeah, okay. And you said, well, next time if something happens like that again, you look at them. You look at them and you just say, no.
I don't remember this.
Oh yeah, I do. And I bet you your brother remembers it, so you can make sure you ask him.
They might have gave me some of the alcohol.
Well, you're a man, you have to decide for yourself. But I like the way you advised your younger brother. So that's what we had here today. That's the type of man he is. And thank you so much. High five. We did a great job. From Seed to Systems, y'all. Female Solution. Tune in because it's going on, okay? Thank you, guys. Where's my outro? My outro. Love you guys.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.